This is Daybreak on Trust Television. Now let's take a look at, another issue. More than 6,000 flights have been cancelled worldwide over the long Christmas weekend, while thousands more were delayed as COVID-19 Omicron variant brings holiday hurt to millions. Now, according to FlightAware.com, more than 2,800 flights were scrambled around the globe on Saturday, including more than 990 originating from or headed to U.S. airports, with over 8,500 delays. Now, on the home front, domestic airlines in Nigeria have increased their airfares owing to high volume of passenger traffic compared to airline seats during the holiday season. Compared to previous years, passenger traffic in this year's Christmas season could be described as low. But due to few aircraft seats, the airlines were unable to meet passengers' demand. Now, to give us perspectives on this, we have in the studio aviation consultant Godi Ike. Welcome to the program.
Hi, good morning. We also are anticipating to join our Daily Trust Aviation correspondent, Abdulateef Aliyu, who will be joining us virtually on the program. Well, let's begin with, the year 2020 and 2021 has been battered, specifically for the aviation sector, and just when we thought that the world is, overcoming, or I would say coming out from the travel restrictions that we experienced in 2020, Omicron is now, leading us to yet another, experience. What are we to do to avert the kind of losses that we saw in 2020?
What can anyone really do with, Omicron or COVID-19, transmitting from one level to the other? Mm-hmm. It's really beyond human control, except if and when, wherever it came from, it decides to go back and leave humanity alone. Otherwise, the effect will be the same, because everybody's very scared. No country wants to, have these things, come in, but they do come in, by the way, because human movement is constant. People will continue to move around the world, and this business of, people or some countries saying, hey, this group of people can't come in, or this group of people, can't go out, and those stuff. It's just the effect is in preventing the transmission and spread is quite minimal.
Exactly.
It doesn't really make sense.
Exactly. When the vaccines were discovered and people began to say, oh, we now have vaccine against COVID-19, there was some merit in some way, even though it was a mixed reaction, looking at the conspiracies and all of that. But, for the better part, experts were excited that at least we have something that will douse, the impact of this. But then the virus keeps mutating. And so the vaccines that we now have are now ineffective. That is in that even if you have been vaccinated, you still stand a chance, of contracting.
Yeah, that's correct. So if you ask me, it really does not make sense shutting down the economy of the world. I do not agree or accept that the economies of the world should be shut down. We should continue to behave responsibly and ensure that all the protocols that have been developed, people wearing their mask when they are in public places, and then people are avoiding all the hugging and
public gatherings.
Public gatherings. And but you see, there again, I haven't seen a sense of responsibility. Well, I don't know what's going on in countries that I haven't visited recently, but from what I'm seeing right here in Nigeria, I haven't seen a reasonable sense of responsibility in ensuring that these things don't spread. We are lucky, I tell you, because the way we behave and the way things are going on, it should have ravaged this country to a standstill, very honestly. But for some strange reasons, it's not spreading the way one would expect if you put it on a scale of how we are behaving and what is expected in terms of transmission. You go to churches everywhere, it's filled with people who are not putting on their masks. I guess for those who attend the mosques, you can also confirm that a whole lot of people are not wearing their mask, and people are still busy, hugging, holding hands, exchanging pleasantries. The way we knew life, the way we knew life, and until Corona came to change the way we lived, and we've gradually dropped that initial fear and worry that got everybody, on his or her toes. Say, hey, please keep away.
Yeah. So
that's not happening anymore.
Right.
And believe you me, I don't see us really getting back to that level of protocol observation when the Corona, broke out. I don't see it happening again because people really want to live their lives.
Yes.
Right.
Well, could it be the reason why some of these European countries and Western countries are imposing the kind of sanction, or I would say restriction, they impose on Nigeria and maybe some other African countries?
That's hypocritical. If they can't make those kind of excuses because it's worse out there. So if you have anyone who wants to say, hey, don't bring us this stuff, we are the ones to
in terms of observing the protocols, maybe enforcing,
well, the point is,
protocols.
for some,
they seem to be doing better.
Do you know where Corona came from? Can you really tell how it came about?
I mean, what we know is it came from China.
From China.
That's what we know.
That is the story we've been told. But do you believe in miracle? I'm asking you.
I'm a Christian, so I believe in miracle.
You do believe in miracle?
Yes.
Do you believe in spirituality of life?
Yes, I do.
If you've read your Bible, you will know that what's going on right now happened some thousands of years ago. And
So we're seeing that reincarnating itself.
I'm not necessarily incarnation, but these things happen periodically when the creator of the world gets angry. And he wants to call his subjects to order. So perhaps we are being called to order.
Okay. Talking about being called, to order.
Yes.
Do we anticipate seeing another lockdown?
Sorry?
Do we anticipate seeing another lockdown?
Well, it depends on the mood of the government. But if I were to advise, I would not recommend that we shut down our economy. Put on the scale, it doesn't make sense. We shouldn't shut down the economy. We should continue to preach the gospel of responsibility.
But that's not sinking, is it sinking? I mean, you just said that you do not see us, going back to the early days.
Because
more serious, about the protocols.
It's psychological.
And all of that.
It is psychological and natural. You would notice that the first time you ever got behind the wheels of a car, the very first time you made an attempt to drive, I'm sure you can recall how scared you were,
right?
How careful you were not to brush somebody else and not to those kind of psychological feelings. Now, compare that feeling at that time and the behavior you had at that time to now that you've been driving and sometimes you are asked, please don't use your phone when you're driving, and it's even being enforced by the appropriate law enforcement department, and still at that you find a whole lot of people not obeying the rules, and once in a while They cause accidents. Once in a while, they kill people. And yet, it's all psychological. It's human nature. So that fear that befell the world when this started will never come back. No matter how many people that get slaughtered by, the pandemic, it will never come back. Because humanity has gone through that initial fear and worry and past it.
But yet we have to protect ourselves.
Oh yes, very important.
Yes, so
very important.
How do we make sure that because it takes a lot of adjusting. We have to adjust to live with the virus.
Strict enforcement.
Especially if you look at the fact that the virus keeps mutating. Yeah.
Strict enforcement. Elsewhere, there's this video that I saw. I actually saved it, where Chinese government built some robots that watch out for people without mask, and they keep them at entrance gates of public offices. If you made to cross the gate without your mask, this robot would lift a big stick and with a pad on it and hit it on your face, in order to call your attention that, hey, you must put on your mask. All sorts of robotic activities, that have been set up. Well, supposedly, I haven't been to China recently, so I do not know whether that is a make-believe thing or whether they are actually installed in all the places as depicted by the by the video.
I saw some of those videos.
You saw some of those videos, so I wouldn't be able to tell. But then again, we need to take responsibility and we need to enforce the protocol that we've put in place.
Okay.
We really do need to.
All right, let's join virtually now. Okay, so we'll reconnect when we get the green light to do so.
Okay.
Okay, so in terms of losses, for the airline companies in Nigeria, with all these cancellation of flights, who is going to, be responsible for paying? For these losses, who is losing anyways in the first place? Let's even begin. Is it the customers or the airline companies?
The issue of cancellation of flights is not necessarily a COVID thing. I hope you're not relating it to COVID. It's, especially the domestic one. It's not a COVID thing, really. It's
what we know globally, the Omicron thing is largely responsible for some of these cancellations.
Yeah, for the international ones, yes, Omicron has created quite a lot, especially when people have to cross-check to make sure that those that are exiting are Omicron free, and that those that are coming in are also free, and so it's taking a whole lot of time to get flights ready to leave. But if we are dealing with the issue of cancellation domestically, there are a whole lot of other factors that have absolutely nothing to do with COVID. Over the years, this has been going on, and we haven't been able to enforce the passengers' Bill of Rights that we developed for the purpose of protecting both the passengers and the airlines. We haven't been enforcing them, and so airlines have also taken a whole lot for granted. Now, it's not all delays that you can hold airlines responsible for. I'll give you an example. Elsewhere, aviation fuel pipes are piped right to the tarmac where the airplanes are parked. And so you don't see tankers running up and down the tarmac to go and top up fuel for the airlines. The dumps are right there, and so if any airplane wants to refill, it's a question of moving it to the point of take, and then putting the hose, usually a pressure hose, and sucking the volume of fuel needed, and of course there's a meter there that reads and tells exactly the volume that's been taken on, and then the exchange of electronic payments are made, and the company that owns the aviation fuel gets instantly paid, and then all bills settled and everybody's happy, and the plane moves on. But what do we do here? We are still doing the old-fashioned supply of fuel by tankers, with all the risk attendant to that. We are very lucky as a people and as a nation, I must tell you, because the kind of things that we do when technology has taken care of a whole lot of things, we are refusing to invest in doing something that will last for a long time. We should have airports that have supply of aviation fuel done through underground pipes.
Okay, so what can we do to protect customers in this instance? Because yes, like you said, there are tendencies of abuse by some airline companies. So how can the customer be protected?
When delay is as a result of weatherman telling the pilots that they can't fly because of safety issues, it's not the fault of the airline, and you can't put a charge on that. When delays are as a result of sudden technical fault in the airplane, because you see the airplane is built in such a way, it's an awesome machine, built to work, built to be safe, with a lot of redundance installed in them. That is to say, if one equipment gets bad, you have a redundant one that can be switched to get things going. And then what's so beautiful, if you walk into a cockpit first thing in the morning in a state that is usually known in the aviation sector as dark and cold, the reason it's called dark and cold is that with the modern glass cockpit, when you shut them down, everywhere is black. Yes. And of course, the cockpit that's a small, cozy space. So with the morning dew, you walk into a cockpit, is quite chilled. And then those glass cockpits are, completely dark until you turn them on, and then they light up.
Quite beautiful.
Yes. So that's why, it's described as when you walk into a cockpit, dark and cold. First thing in the morning. Now it's a time to set up. If you look at the roof of the airplane, you see all sorts of installations, buttons, knobs, all there. Those are scanning buttons and scanning knobs that enable pilots to carry out initial check. Now you can actually do front, back, left, right, do all the scannings required. If anything is wrong, technically, with that airplane, the airplane tells you even before you start up. Yes, that's how wonderfully built those machines can be. And so, if pilots take their seats and begin to get ready for the flight, while you are checking in, you think that they are just sitting down there folding their arms. A whole lot of work is going on in those cockpits.
Right.
While you are still checking in, at the check-in counter, a whole lot of work is going on. The pilots are getting ready for the flight, doing all the checks and making sure that the plane is technically sound and fit, to do the trip. And so, it may be that during the scanning, that the airplane complains that something is wrong.
Okay.
Now, for safety reasons, that job must be done, and so it instantly creates a delay. Those kind of delays, again, are not the fault of the airlines, and they cannot be held responsible for that. But let me tell you one that can be fault of the airline. Sometimes the booked flights and the capacity of the airplane is not filled up, and then they begin to make excuses due to operational reasons that they can't fly. But in all reality, those that is their business to be sure that everything is good and fine, especially NCAA, would know clearly that there was nothing wrong. They are just waiting to fill up the airplane.
Okay. Now, there's this report in your release by the National Bureau of Statistics that showed that Nigeria exported over 100 billion worth of helicopters to Ghana in 2021. Well, many are asking, we don't even have a plant here, so how come Nigeria is the one exporting helicopters to Ghana?
I don't know how they came about that kind of information. We do not assemble helicopters here, do we? And we do not manufacture. It might be that there are some, top business people who are using, our funds here to import and transit to, to Ghana or wherever else they are sending them. We run a system where some people are above the law. We must admit that that's the kind of system we're running. A few people are above the law, do things that they normally should not do, and then for profit, and they get away with it. So if that news is making its rounds, I will urge you journalists to carry out investigative journalism. That was
actually a report by Daily Trust, I think the day before yesterday, on this. It's an extensive analysis and detailed investigation that was done. So basically, Nigeria is believed to be used as a transit
Here you go.
Route or,
of
some sort, to all of that.
Here you go.
So that's the conversation.
Oh, wonderful! You see, was I there when you carried out your? But from what I know, this is the only thing that might just be happening, and it's because of the. I'm trying to be mild with my language. That's why I'm thinking about the appropriate word to use to describe the sort of attitude we have as a people and as a government. We must bring ourselves to a point where people must know that we have laws, that our laws have teeth, can bite, are willing to bite, and we bite when they catch you doing the wrong thing. If we don't send that signal, no one gets serious.
Right.
All right. Well, because of our time, we have to end the discussion. Thank you so much for coming
My pleasure.
on the program. We look forward to having you again.